Hi guys, in this video we're going to have a look at how we can create a component with structure or layout related properties. So if we change something in that in terms of the properties, if we say it's yes or no or true or false rather, then it's going to alter the layout of the entire component. So the example that I can give you here is here I have this info component, and as you can see, I've got typical properties on there, such as the heading dark or the heading accent, and then a couple of paragraphs in the image. But below that, I have a background tint, and if I toggle this to on, you're going to see the background tints on there to one of my background colors. And then we have image left, and if I toggle that, then it's going to put the image to the right. So if I want the image to the left, I toggle that on. Now, the reason why this is helpful is because initially what I had done, let me just move over to a different page. Initially what I had done as I was, building this site with Etch and getting used to this, was I created a section stupidly called bio, which is dumb because not every bit of information I put in there is a bio. But this is actually quite a consistent layout that I would want to reuse across the site. So it makes sense that it's a component. But what you typically kind of do is you might have all of the same elements, but then, section down, the next section, it might be a different bit of a tint, might be but certainly the image might be on the left as opposed to on the right. So this is quite a typical kind of layout. Again, that's why it should be componentized. But I didn't do that. And it was actually at a moment when I went to duplicate it, so essentially do that and make some alterations, and I thought, oh, for goodness sake. Right, that's why we have components. That's what we need to be doing here. And these are bad habits from page builders, just yanking in another repeat or instance. So, I thought, right, sod it, right, let's go in and build a component. And then what I did is I did info image left. Now, if we look at that, it's info image left. So it's an info section. That's a broader term. That's better. All of the same elements, but but the image is on the left. That's all well and good, but then I was going to create an info image right, which is pretty much the same, but the image on the right. Okay, so then I've got these two components that I can keep adding across the site. So all well and good in some sense, but however much I'm tying this to selectors and variables, if I've got two components, I've potentially got double the amount of editing should something have to change. And that's not okay. Instead, we want to create a component that can do all of these, and then it's more like one source of truth. So that's when I created the info component, and it gives me these versatile layout options with the use of properties. So we're going to go under the hood and just look at how to do it, and then you can apply this to your own site. So first of all, let's go to info. We're just going to break down what the process is. So edit component, and all of the typical properties are in place there, as you'd expect. The first one we'll look at is background tint. And so you can see here we've got the key here, background tint, and it's toggled to true. And what this alters is obviously the section background. So we needed to apply this to the section. That's .info, as you can see. Right, so essentially we need to find background tint, which is this one. And we've got a data attribute there, data hyphen background or dash tint equals, and then the key. Okay, so we've tied this key to this element in the HTML. That's job number one. And then we need to tell it how to style it. All right, so if this is linking up, what is it supposed to do? This is when we go to the CSS side, which is well, we obviously need to pop to the section, and then we've got the selector here, and then we've got and means this, and then you might have something. For example, you might have and hover, and then you would style the hover state, which is easier to understand because we're more familiar with that. Okay, but it's doing the same thing there. It's saying this selector and this data attribute here do this. And in this instance, we've got background and the variable that I wanted it to be. So that's the workflow that you need to keep in mind. Okay, first of all, we create the, in this case, the Boolean. You could have a select, for example. And we've got the key here. We tie that into the HTML, and then we need to tell it what to do. And you would do that using this nested selector here. And then it works. Happy days. It's really not that complex. And actually, a point to make is that the equivalent of components in things like breakdowns and things like that are generally global blocks and templates. And you can't really do this in there. Certainly not easily, and certainly not without loads of workarounds. So this is, yeah, really, really fantastic. Okay, so how do we do the other aspect, which you're probably more interested in, which is the layout shift? Again, we'll go into the edit component and we'll just go through the process. So image left, all right. So I want it to be image left and it will be toggled true. And then we would copy the key. Now this is applying to, I think is applying to the div. No, it's not. It's applying to, I've forgotten. That's the funny thing. Oh, here we are. So this is applying to the div with the image in it. But let's have a look at the HTML. So props.image left. So again, we've got this equals. Okay, so that's how we're tying that in. Data hyphen and then the descriptive name and then the key here in the curlies. So yeah, so that makes a lot of sense. And then here we've got in the CSS, again, it's nested with the and statement and then the square brackets and then the data attribute there. So data image left equals true. If this equals left, equals true, do this. And the way that I've done it was order -1, which shifts it over. You can see here in the structure panel that it's actually the second by default by the structure. But essentially what it does, if that is true, is swing it up to there. So that's how that works, and it's not difficult to do. I need to remind you that a lot of stuff is in the Etch documentation. There are gaps where they're like, hey, it's coming along soon, but that's part of why I thought it'd be helpful to chuck some videos out, more bite-sized videos rather than looking at it in a 2-hour live stream, as helpful as they are. But yeah, that's how you would add a layout shift to your component in Etch. I do need to say that the best way to learn is to learn by doing and also learn by pulling something apart. So if you go along to the pattern site or the Etch docs site, there are components there. You can essentially pull everything apart and see how it does things. The first one I would say to look at is the footer, which has a number of layout shifts and removing items entirely so you can get a minimalist footer. I would say that that's the best thing to go and do. Go and get that component, install it into your excuse me, install it into your template, and then pull it apart, and you'll see how all the conditional statements are all added in there. But yeah, that's what I did. That's what I have, and hopefully you find that useful. If you have any further questions, please do ask them. If I've done anything wrong or there's a better way, the fun of this is that it's a learning experience. So advise me, tell me how better I can do it, and I'll update a video in this series. But yeah, cool. Anyway, have a good day, and yeah, have a good day.